Today's true scary story is the craziest story I've ever heard in my life. This story has about a million trigger warnings for about everything. So just so that you're aware of that, if you're sensitive, just scroll. Before we get started though, I just want to remind you to subscribe to my YT. The link is in my link tree in my bio, where I will be telling the full version of this story on there tonight. Also, if you want to send me your true scary story and you want me to recount it on here, my email is in my bio. It's kaisespooky@gmail.com. Okay, let's get started, guys. So today's submitter's name is Jackie. When Jackie was a baby, her father tried to sacrifice her to Richard Ramirez. Yes. And he also was in a cult, the mafia. He was a hitman, heavily into devil worshipping, and he was also in another organization, which I refuse to say on here. Her grandfather also bootlegged for Al Capone. So this girl's story is absolutely nuts. And actually, this is not even the worst of it. It gets exponentially worse as the story goes on. For whatever reason, Jackie's father hated her from the day she was born, and her entire family cannot figure out why this is. This upset her a lot as a younger child, and still kind of does to this day, even though he's gone at this point. But she has kind of learned to live with it, especially because her father ended up leaving them when she was younger. Don't worry, we'll get into the sacrificing part later. So Jackie has dealt with paranormal stuff her entire life, but she started to actually see apparitions by the time she was like 15 or 16 years old. Started with a man in the woods near the trailer that she grew up in. Every single night when she would go to bed, she would look out her window and there would be a man in the woods, far off in the distance, just standing there staring at her house all night long. Now, she was the only person in her house that was able to see this, but her sister did see it at one point also, because I think her sister was also a little sensitive, and you will find out why. For instance, one day she came to her mother's house and she saw her mother standing on the porch, and she walks up to the porch and she says, "Hi, Mom," and her mom just sits there, says nothing. And she says again, "Hi, Mom." Mom says nothing. "Hi, Mom," gets a little bit closer this time, and the apparition just disappeared right in front of her face. Now, this would be absolutely nothing compared to what she actually experienced a little bit later on, which would traumatize her for the rest of her life, and it would traumatize me too. One day, Jackie, her sister, and her sister's kids all went to this cemetery. I'm not sure why they were there, but they went to the cemetery for some reason. They see this crypt there. I think it's called a crypt. It's like a place that you can go into where bodies are buried. Correct me if I'm wrong. Her sister decides that she wants to go inside of the crypt and she wants to take pictures, and her sister, Jackie, was like, "Absolutely, do not do that. Like, do not do that." And she actually wanted to bring her kids inside with her too. And Jackie was like, "You are not bringing those kids inside of that crypt with you. You should not be going in there anyways. It's super disrespectful and you're going to pay for this. Like, I'm telling you right now." And her sister just did it anyway. She went inside and she started taking pictures. Fast forward to later on that night, her sister gets home and she's trying to sleep in her bed when something literally grabbed her by her hair that she could not see, lift her up to the ceiling, and started attacking her. And then she's trying to scream for her husband, but her husband's not in the room and she can't scream anyways because she can't move or do anything. And then all of a sudden she starts getting these visions of her being unalived in like all these different ways. We're talking like all different ways, are just all these visions are popping up in front of her. After a minute of her trying to fight, scream, do all the things she can, it all of a sudden just stops and the entity just drops her. Now, I asked Jackie what this entity looked like and she said that she didn't see her. She never saw what did it to her. She just got lifted up to the ceiling and that's what happened without her seeing anything at all except for the visions. Here's the craziest part of the sister's life, because yes, it does get crazier. So Jackie's sister's husband, best friend, unalived himself by jumping in front of a train when he was on substances. And I guess her husband was there when this happened, because as soon as it happened, he picked up some of his body parts, like, cause they were scattered everywhere. So he picks up a part of his skull and a part of his arm. He puts it in a duffel bag and he keeps it, and now has the bones in a duffel bag still currently in his office in their house. And their house is incredibly active, like incredibly active. I wonder why. Now, this type of stuff may be foreign to some people, but it is not foreign to Jackie at all. She has dealt with crazy her entire life. And remember how I told you that she could see spirits? Yeah, well, she got in contact with a medium that lived in Montana, and she's been talking to her for the past 5 years. And this medium told her some things about her life that would absolutely change her entire life. Now, the medium actually tells Jackie that her father had tried to sacrifice her as a baby to Richard Ramirez. Now, she told her this without knowing anything about him being a devil worshiper or anything about Jackie's life at all whatsoever. The medium also doesn't know that Jackie actually her whole entire life has had an obsession with Richard Ramirez, and she knows that this is bad, but she said she literally can't help it. She's constantly Googling him and like figuring out what he did, why he did it. She just doesn't understand why, and she's just fascinated by the whole thing, but not in like a good way, not like she likes it, but in like a way where she just doesn't understand it, and she doesn't understand why she's so fascinated by it. He also found out that Richard Ramirez's unaliving spree went from June of 1984 to August of 1985. Now, she was born in June of 1984 and her sister was born in August of 1985, which is super weird. He also dated a girl that had the same name as Jackie's real name. One day, Jackie is sitting on the couch and she is just reading when all of a sudden she feels this incredibly evil presence. She knows that someone is there because she is used to this, but not anything this evil before. When right before her eyes, Richard Ramirez appears right in front of her. He looks really young here. He looks the same as he did when he got arrested. Now she starts to freak out inside, but she's trying to remain calm on the outside. He has this shit-eating grin on his face, and she looks at him and she goes, "What do you want and what could you possibly be smiling about?" And he says to her, "What could I possibly be smiling about? There's so much for me to be smiling about." He says, "I am just thinking about all the people that I will do it again. I would do it again, and I will do it again. I will be revenge." That's what he keeps saying to her. "I will be revenge." So in a shaky voice, she goes, "How? You're dead." And he says, "Oh, I have so many followers. Do you not think that I can get someone to pick up where I left off? Because I can. And I will." Now, Jackie actually says that she sees him a lot, like a lot. So I asked her, what other things does he say to you? And she said, what he says mostly is he just talks about how he has no remorse. He has none whatsoever, and how much he wishes that he could again, and how he will do it again, and how he constantly just says, "I will be revenge." It's kind of repetitive, she says, but she says that mostly he has zero remorse, and that's what she gets from him most of the time. Now we're going to skip over some parts, which they will be on my YT, but we're going to move to the fact that she actually moved from Texas to Indiana to take care of her father, who was dying. So he was of COPD, lung cancer, and emphysema. I guess that's what you get when you're an incredibly evil person. I actually did ask Jackie, why did you do this after all the stuff that he had done to you in your life and the fact that he hates you? And apparently he calls her all kinds of names and still did until the day that he died. And she said, well, he still was my father, and a part of me as like a little girl still wanted his approval, which is so sad. So before her father passed away, he told her that he was seeing demons almost every single night and that they were attacking him, and that these demons were terrifying looking. They were scratching him, biting him, pulling him off the bed, choking him. And he would wake up with cuts, bruises, marks all over his body all of the time. And there was nothing that they could do about it. So she asked her father, what do they look like? And he said that they were tall, very skinny. They had very long arms that came to the ground. They had wide gaping mouths, and they had these huge eyes. These demons lingered around her father until the day that he passed away. And the day that he passed away, he looked at her and her sister, and his last words were, "This is your fault." And her sister was like, "Dad, this isn't our fault. You did this to yourself." And then he just was gone. Now, there's a lot more to this story, you guys. And like I said, it will be on my YT. But for what I told you, what do you guys think of this? This is insane. I mean, the body parts in the bag, like, what is going on up in your head, bro? And not only that, but like, she is seeing Richard Ramirez. Like, what? Imagine seeing him every single day and then finding out that your father tried to sacrifice you to him, and then finding out all those details about the person that he dated and his killing spree and like all that stuff. What do you guys think is going on here? Do you think this is all because of her father and his devil worshipping? Or do you think that maybe she's just a sensitive on her own? Or what do you think? Like, do you think that she's fascinated with him because of what her father did? She would like to know. She is so baffled by all of this. Her whole life has been like a movie, she said, and she's been so afraid to tell anybody because she knows that no one is going to believe her. So she just wants your insight. She wants to know what you guys think. My name is Kaisa, and I tell true scary stories that you guys submit to me on here every single night. So if you like that, hit that follow button. Also, if you want to send me your true scary story and you want me to recount it on here, my email is in my bio. It's kaisaspooky@gmail.com. Guys, I will get to it. Like, don't worry about that. Send them to me. Don't worry about me not getting them. Send them to me. Other than that, I love you guys so much. Seriously, your support means everything to me. I love you, love you, love you. I'll say it every single time. I need you to do one more thing for me, and what is that? Have a spooky night. Love you guys.
So some guy who lives by himself, right? He has one cat and one cat only. He's recording because he hears something, and the only thing that like could possibly be downstairs is his cat, right? So boom, he walks around the corner, and in the upstairs floor, he sees his cat. So he's like, oh, I'm gonna rub it, right? I'm gonna rub his head. And then he goes downstairs where the noise was. Fam, like the sister thing's like, yo, that's the exact same cat. But I think in his language, he goes, oh, I don't know who this is. This is not my cat.
Oh.
So he rushes upstairs and he starts putting salt on the doorway
to stop them from coming.
Yeah, because he feels something's wrong.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so he camps the whole night, and he's just there, and he shows his cat and he shows the doorway. fam, like at like 3 a.m., all you hear, it's like the mimic was like, fuck that, I'm done being a cat, let me turn into a human again. All you hear, oh man. Once he reaches the top, it's like a because it's
like a human breath.
Yeah, because it's like he can't get past that because he already put the salt
Oh my god.
wailing coming from the door.
This is a true story that happened to me in 2005. So this morning it was early and I could not go back to sleep no matter how hard I tried. I kept getting this gut feeling like something bad had happened and my stomach was tore up. So I decided just to get on up, get dressed, and go see my grandma who was in the hospital. And my grandma had been very sick for a few weeks, but the doctor said she was getting better and would be going home in a couple of days. The hospital was over an hour away from my house and my gas tank was on E, so I knew I was going to have to stop and get gas. But right before I got to the store, my stomach dropped and that bad feeling got even worse. So as I'm pulling up to the gas pump, a black hearse pulls in behind me and then parks right beside me. I can't stop looking at this hearse. It's like something is drawing my attention to it. So I lock my gas pump in and I walk around towards the back of that hearse and I see the name of the funeral home. And as I'm looking at the back glass, I notice there's a body in the back. So I'm just standing there staring at the back of this hearse when the driver comes out the store, gets in the car, and as he's pulling out the parking lot, I could have sworn I saw two people in the back glass. It looked like an old woman was sitting beside a young boy and their eyes were glowing. I freaked out. I thought I was tripping. It scared me so bad that I jumped in my car and floored it to my mama's house, and when I got there I told her what happened, and then she asked me what was the name of the funeral home, and I said blank funeral home. Mama said, oh my god, that's crazy. They just called me about 5 minutes ago and said that they're back with grandma's body, so we have to go up there. I said, wait a minute, what are you talking about, grandma's body? What happened? Mama said, I'm so sorry honey, but grandma died early this morning. I said, why didn't you call me? Mama said that wasn't something I wanted to tell you over the phone. I was going to tell you in person when you got here. So the whole time I was pumping gas and feeling weird, my grandmother's body was in the back of that hearse right beside me, and I didn't even know it. So we think the two faces I saw was my grandmother and her teenage son who died in a car wreck in 1976 when he was only 16. His death devastated her, and she was never the same again, and she would always talk about how she was ready to go because she missed him and wanted to hold her baby boy again. And to this day, I truly believe I saw my grandmother reunited with her son for the first time in many years.
If you are dreaming and someone asks to hold your hands, never let them. So this lady says that growing up, her mom always told her that if you're dreaming of someone who has already passed away and they come to you in your dreams asking to hold your hands, to never let them because they can take you with them. She explains how she never really understood if her mom was just saying that to scare them or if she really meant what she was saying. She says that her mother has since passed away. However, her mom came to her in a dream and she remembers everything she was wearing down to like her nails, that they were still done, because she remembers that in life her mom always had her nails done. So in the dream, the mom looks at her and she's like, you're not scared of me? And the lady, she's like, no, what, like why would I be scared of you? You're my mom. And the very next thing her mom told her was, give me your hands. And she told her, no, why do you want my hands? But she does say that she did touch her in the dream, like her shoulder, and that she remembers how cold her mom was in the dream. And when she told her mom, no, why do you want my hands? Her mom was like, no, daughter, just give me your hand. Come on, give me your hand. She says that she told her, no, mom, I'm okay. I don't want to take your hand. And you know, she woke up. That was the end of the dream. Once she wakes up, she feels kind of guilty for not giving her mom her hands, but she remembered, like even in her dream, she remembered that her mom living would tell her never take their hands. So she's like, did my mom want to take me with her? I mean, in that moment, she's like laying in bed with her two daughters. So she's like, why would my mom want to take me away and leave my two daughters here alone? So then she thought something different. She was like, what if that was not my mom? I'm over here like, what if the mom came just to test her and see if she learned her lesson about not taking somebody's hand? But I don't know, either way, it's creepy. It's a little scary, especially when it's like your loved ones and you're like thinking like, oh my god, I should have taken her hand, because she's still feeling guilty about it. And honestly, I would probably feel guilty too. If you want to listen to the story in Spanish, this is what's gonna look like, and it's called Relatos de Luna Llena. But what do you guys think? Has this ever happened to you? Are you going to take anybody's hand? Hopefully the answer is no.
So here's the thing. Every time I tell y'all a story time, there's always at least one person in the comments that says, oh, I will never go to Haiti, or I will never go to Africa. And if you're an OG, you know that I've spoken about this for years, but do y'all know that this is happening right here in the US? All of the things that I'm saying, the story times that people are giving me from their home countries are happening here too. Scary story time from the US. Also, I've mentioned this before, like for years too, but I need y'all to get it out of your heads that only foreigners do black magic. 2024, everybody is involved in black magic. Foreigners may be a little more educated about it because it's literally their culture. But why do y'all think I get on here and I tell y'all to stop doing things y'all see on this app? Anyways, this happened in Miami, Florida. I'm gonna try to keep this in one part. I'm gonna try. There's this lady, let's call her Liz. Liz was pregnant. If you're an OG and you've been watching me for years, you know where this is going. Anyways, she got pregnant, and about 3 to 4 months into her pregnancy, there was a cat that kept coming to her doorstep, especially at nighttime. Most of the time it would be at nighttime. Now, Liz doesn't know too much about like voodoo or anything like that. Like, she knows some stuff, like superstition stuff, that's what she calls it. So to Liz, this is just a stray cat that likes food, and so Liz would feed that cat. And that's the first mistake that she made. If you know, you know. And so as the months were going by, that cat never missed a night where that cat didn't come to Liz's doorstep. This happened throughout her entire pregnancy. Liz liked that cat because that cat was unique. And why was that cat unique, you say? The cat's cry sounded like a baby's cry. Again, Liz doesn't know anything about that stuff. So to her, that's just a very unique cat. So fast forward, Liz gives birth. She has a very healthy baby girl. And as soon as she got home with said baby girl, the cat came back, except this time, the cat didn't come through her front doorstep, but it would come by the window of the baby's room. Again, Liz doesn't know anything about that stuff. She's thinking this is a guardian angel for her baby because that cat has been there throughout her whole pregnancy, and now the cat is coming to the baby's window at night. And so that cat must be some kind of angel sent to protect her baby. Right? It wasn't until one night the cat came, was crying like a baby by the baby's window. So that woke Liz up, and she decided to just go check on the baby just because. Only to find that that baby, unfortunately, had passed away. Now, she didn't know that the baby passed away right away, but of course the baby wasn't breathing or anything, so she rushed to the hospital and they declared the baby, they called it SIDS. They put it off as SIDS. But you want to know the weird thing? Ever since that night, that cat never came back. Now, this brings me to a theory. How many SIDS cases are actually spiritual? Because think about it. If you know, you know. We know how this works. Like, if you've been following me, you should already know how this works. We should already know, like, what happened to the baby. I even have a video, a couple of videos down, that shows a lugao being caught taking somebody's baby's soul. So, is it far-fetched to think that a lot of SIDS cases are actually spiritual?
Can we show them the older homestead?
Yeah, let's go. As you know.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Was that you?
Yeah, that's on either side.
They went to both.
Yeah.
This man was the most dangerous in the world. In 1963, in New York City, a man named Jerry Dunk ran a small hot dog stand on Main Street. But his hot dogs weren't just snacks. They were a sensation. People said they were the best they'd ever tasted. No one knew what made them so good. Jerry's secret recipe was a closely guarded mystery. Families lined up around his stand. Jerry always greeted them with a warm smile and a friendly attitude. He'd chat with the dads, talk about sports, or fishing. Many of the fathers said, "I'm just going back to Jerry's for another hot dog," and left with a smile. But they never came home. Police started an investigation. At first, Jerry was all smiles, playful, helpful, saying, "I'm just a guy with a grill." But as more men went missing, the police searched his house. What they found was horrifying. In Jerry's basement, hidden behind a locked steel door, there was a full-size basketball court. But that wasn't the scary part. At the other end of the room stood a massive industrial incinerator, its walls blackened with soot. Next to it, piles of men's clothing. When the police found him in his secret hideout, Jerry just smiled and said, "First rule of the game, you gotta win." When they asked where the missing men were, he pointed to the incinerator and whispered, "I'm the king of Dunk." Then he ran straight toward the flames, and now you can probably guess how he kept his hot dogs hot.
I love you. Did you know that?
I love you. I know.
I know, Mommy. I love you. What is another leg? What is another leg?
I don't know. What does it look like?
Something else.
Oh.
I know you.
What are you doing?
I'm sitting on you. Not my favorite person.
Where's your favorite place to go? What do you see?
I see something behind her. I see something behind her.
What?
I see a plant in a tiny room.
You see what?
A plant.
A bad thing.
A bad thing. That's a bad thing.
What does it look like?
A ghost.
A ghost?
It's one.
No, there's no ghosts. No ghosts here. Ghosts be gone.
No.
Stop it, baby. Daddy's not here.
One. Here's a ghost right ahead.
No, there's no ghosts here.
Ahead. Here's one ahead.
No, there's not any ghosts.
Ahead.
Don't scare Mommy.
I wanna see it right here. Mommy, clean my room. It's not sad in my room.
It's not scary in your room?
I wanna clean my room.
There's nothing.
Here's Abby. Here's some Abby clothes. Clean my room and look, it's a Abby clothes.
There's not a scary ghost.
You know, in my room?
No.
Clean my room?
Why?
Clean my room. It's not in my room. It's not in my room. I'm gonna go back to hide.
What?
Clean my room.
Well, we're not going to go in your room right now.
It's 7 here.
It's not scary in here.
I saw 17 floating in the hat.
There's a scary thing floating. Where?
The hat.
Baby, there's nothing there.
Yes, it is.
No, there's not. Stop it. Stop it.
In my room.
Hey, look up at the sky. It's on your face, baby.
Cozies on my face?
No.
Cozies in my stomach?
No.
Look.
What are you doing?
In my room. There's a pajama. It's kind of savvy. Look, it's kind of savvy. Clean my room. Try to clean, Mommy. Clean my room. Think it's savvy. Because of me.
Okay.
Cool. Mommy, cool.
Weird.
Mommy, come in here too.
There was nothing in there, baby.
It's nothing savvy.
Nothing scary.
I see this.
Every light in the house is on.
But he's so uncomfortable that he finds himself getting down on the sand and kind of, getting into the fetal position, trying to find a little bit of comfort. And then at some point he does get a little comfortable. In fact, so comfortable that despite how awful it was outside, he did fall asleep at about maybe 2, 3 in the morning. And so Fareed falls asleep. And then a few hours later, he wakes up and he's in a panic because he knows he wasn't supposed to fall asleep. He's supposed to be guarding this crime scene to make sure nobody touches this body. And also remember, he thinks the killer could be out here, like it's an actual real possibility they might come back and do something to the body. And he's just fallen asleep. And so he kind of scrambles to his feet. He's taking stock of the scene. It's still raining. It's still cold and dark out. And he turns and he looks where the body was supposed to be. And it's gone. The body is gone. And so instinctively, he's thinking, oh, the killer's nearby. They must have grabbed the body. He reaches for his gun, and his holster's empty. And so now it's like truly a nightmare scenario for Fareed. He was supposed to be here to watch the crime scene, and he allowed the body to be taken, and he's been disarmed. Now, fortunately, he had his, service knife, and he pulled that out. That's all he's got at this point. But he's thinking, I'm screwed. Like, what happened? Where did it go? Where'd the body go? Where'd my gun go? What do I do? And so he starts thinking, well, wait a minute, maybe an animal came by and grabbed the body and dragged the body, and it's nearby. And he's sort of like looking up and down the beach, and he's thinking, it could be pretty far away. But he sees there's no drag marks. There's no way the body could have been dragged by an animal. And then also, what, an animal came back and unclipped his holster and took his gun out and took that away? That doesn't make any sense. He would have at least woken up if that was happening. But then he's like, well, wait a minute, maybe a wave came up and grabbed the body and dragged it into the ocean. That's why it's not here. That's why there's no drag marks. But he looked at where he was sleeping, and almost certainly, if the body had been struck with a big wave that dragged it into the ocean, Fareed would have been hit by that same wave, and he would have woken up. And then also, again, who took his gun? And so the realization hit Fareed that the only explanation here is a person came over here while I was asleep, took the body, took my gun, and now they're gone. So the night before, Fareed, the officer who was, left on the beach to guard the scene, the one who fell asleep, Fareed, his cousin, a man named Habib Jaber, had been walking along the beach alone when he had been attacked. This man had robbed him and then killed him and decapitated him. And he had left Habib's body on the shore. But he had taken his head and the money he had stolen from him back to his home. But several hours later, the killer realized maybe it had been a mistake to leave so much evidence behind, namely leaving behind the headless body. Maybe that could get them in trouble. So they decide, okay, I'm going to go back and get the body and bring it here as well to get rid of the evidence. But when the killer got back to the beach, back to the crime scene, he saw the body was now being guarded by a police officer. And that police officer was Fareed. Now, it's very important that you understand that Fareed, the officer, had no idea that the body he was guarding belonged to his cousin. All he knew was that this was a man who was killed. But because he was missing his head, he had not been able to identify him as his cousin. He just thought it was some stranger, some man had been killed, not his cousin. Now, when the killer got to the beach, he was about to turn around because he sees I can't do anything because, this officer is guarding the body. What can I do? But he snuck up a little bit closer and he realized the police officer, Fareed, he had fallen asleep on the job. And so while Fareed was sleeping, the killer did walk up, pick up the body, carry it off to his house, which was not far away. And he also went back and he took Fareed's gun out of his holster, all while Fareed was asleep. So literally the worst thing that Fareed thought could have happened, that he was basically duped by the killer while he slept, did happen. So after the killer has taken the body and the gun away from Fareed and he's back at his home down the beach, he decided what he would do is he would start a big fire and he would dispose of the body that way. He would burn it in the fire and that would get rid of all the evidence and he'd be just fine. And so as the killer is chopping up firewood, basically at the end of the beach, not far from Fareed, believe it or not, he's chopping up all this firewood. Fareed wakes up in a panic, realizing, oh my gosh, the body's gone, my gun's gone, what do I do? And Fareed turns and he sees there's this man at the end of the beach who's chopping wood. Now, Fareed has no idea that man is actually literally the killer of his cousin. He has no idea. He just thinks it's some random dude who lives at the end of this beach who's chopping wood. But Fareed, he's so desperate to salvage his job, he's got to find this body, he's got to find his gun. He's thinking,
what the fuck was that? Bro!
What's going on around you?
I don't know. I'm frozen. I am frozen.
Did the window
Sean.
break?
Who wants to hear the story about the guy that I was seeing who was also seeing his sister? I meet this guy on Hinge, okay? He's gorgeous. Like, he looks just like Leo from Tell Me Lies, okay? Gorgeous. So he drives 2 hours to take me on our first date. And we had been talking for a couple weeks at this point. And this is right before or right after my divorce. So, like, I would never do this now. I would never do this now. But I was like, okay, like, why don't you just, like, stay the night after our date? Girl, be so real. Do you think that's a good idea? No. I'll call him Tony. That's not his name. I was like, I opened my door, I said, Tony? And he looks up and starts skipping stairs to get to me. And he gives me a big hug and he has flowers. He was like, I'm so excited to, like, actually see you. And I was like, me too. I was like, I'm finishing getting ready, like, come in, whatever. He takes me to dinner. He has a really nice car. He takes me to a very nice restaurant. I'm like, okay, this guy has his life together. He had gotten out of the military. I won't say which branch. and he was getting his master's. So I was like, his life is like put together. I'm obsessed. And the conversation is so good, and he's so interested about my interests, which is like not typical. A lot of people just don't want to talk about neuroplasticity and how cool it is. That's like one of my biggest interests. He was clocked in. He was ready, okay? He was applying for the job to be my boyfriend. And he's telling me about him, and he grew up on a farm in a southern state, and he was homeschooled. But like not the type of homeschool where you're with other kids, the type of homeschool that it's just you and your siblings, okay? And he has a sister who is like a year younger, 2 years younger. Anyways, so we finished the first day. He stays over. He's already texted me about our next date. He's excited. He's like really into it. So he says, why don't you come by me, which is by like Eastern, like ECU. I think that was the school he was getting his master's at. And he was like, we'll do like some fun mini golf. I'll take you to this hot dog place because he knows I love hot dogs. I love hot dogs. Leading up to the date, I was feeling like sketched out for whatever reason. For really no reason. He was great. But my like intuition was like, ooh, this is not good. But my heart was like, what are you talking about? Like, shut up. Ugh. Having fun, living life, he's hot. At the same time, there was a documentary about that guy. I can't think of his name right now, but he was in Call Me By Your Name. And there was a documentary about, like, all the girls that he had, like, essayed. And, like, for whatever reason, I was getting the same vibe. And I was also getting the same vibe of, like, maybe he was going to eat me at some point. And I can't explain why. He never like gave me any reason to believe that he was going to eat me. But I started to really, really hone in on the fact that he was going to like hurt me somehow. So we go on the date. Date is so fun. But then at dinner, after mini golf, he was like, you know what? You look just like my cousin. And I was like, oh my gosh. Huh. And he was like, I mean, she's hot. I'm like, oh. Okay. He showed me a picture. I look identical. And then he's telling me how hot I am the rest of the night. And I'm thinking, oh, this guy wants to fuck his cousin. This is what this is. He wants to fuck his cousin. So we go back. He gets a hotel because he has a roommate because he's in school. He brings out things. Things that I don't want. Wait, who are you doing that with? Because it ain't me. Like, dangerous things. Like for the bedroom, I was like, this isn't like, no. We started having like pillow talk, okay? We're getting really deep into conversation. And he reveals to me that when he was in like 3rd grade, him and his sister got really curious. I'm gonna throw up. Girl. And I was like, huh? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? And he like really gets into detail of what they did from 3rd grade to a couple of years ago. They were having a full-blown relationship. In that in just that one way. Okay? I really hope y'all are picking up what I'm putting down, okay? Him and his sister had relations for years. And I'm fawning at this point because I'm like, I'm actually in danger. This is not good. I've been drinking. I can't drive home 2 hours. And so I become a therapist. I'm like, oh my gosh, like that probably really affected you, you know, throughout your whole childhood. Like, do you think that's like brought into your adult like your life? Like I'm trying to be a therapist, you know, and try to make him feel comfortable to just like keep talking. But I'm like, I really don't want to hear it, but what am I gonna do? I gotta know where to go. So he tells me everything until we fall asleep. I'm driving home, he's calling me, and he's just like, I had so much fun, like I love getting to know you. And I'm like, oh, yeah, me too, so much fun. so much fun. But I was like, you know what? It feels like you don't really have a relationship with God. So, like, I need that. And he was like, well, I also need someone that I can... But, like... I said, yeah, and he's like, yeah, you just didn't seem into, like, all the things that I was into. Yeah, because I'm not. Because most people aren't. I'm not gonna yuck anyone's yum, but, like, yuck. Yucky. Yeah. No. Just because they look like Leo does not mean you should date them. No. Ugh. I'm so, like, honestly, this is embarrassing for me to tell. I've waited 2 years to tell this story. Because every time I try to, I'm like, oh, this looks bad for me. Like, ugh. Well, let me know if you have any questions.